Hello everyone and welcome to Using the Senses with Clare Shaw, a Scotland's Young Makars webinar, and many thanks indeed for joining us. I'm Catherine Ross, and along with Lindsay Fraser, who some of you will have met last week, I'm the Programme Manager for this project. I just want to say a quick word about how it all works, first of all, and apologies to those of you who have heard this all before. But Scotland's Young Makars, or SIM for short, which is a lot easier to say, is all about encouraging young people of secondary school age to really get into poetry, into reading, writing and presenting poetry. It's a brainchild of Lucy Burnett, who is the Artistic Director of StAnza, Scotland's International Poetry Festival, and it's been made possible thanks to support from the MacRobert Trust, the Hugh Fraser Foundation and Creative Scotland. And as you know, there are two parts to SIM, and the first is a series of 10 weekly webinars, and this is the second, led by 9 fantastic poets who have chosen to talk to you about different aspects of poetry. Sounds, language, memory, form, the senses. You'll find out about all these aspects of making your own poetry and so much more. And once you've registered for information about SIM, you'll be sent the Zoom link for each webinar, and we hope you'll come along to as many as you can. It's not compulsory, of course, but apart from anything else, if you're there, our poets will feel a good deal less lonely. If you miss one of the webinars or you want to refer back to it, it'll be on StAnza's YouTube channel, and it will, seriously. And so the details of all the upcoming webinars on the SIM page of the StAnza website, they're there. So if you're watching this on YouTube after the event and thinking, I wish I'd been there, especially to see that strange carry-on that happened at the beginning of it all, you know what to do. So throughout the autumn, you'll be writing poetry of your own in response to these webinars. We'd love to read your work, and you'll get information about how to submit it to us in a SIM newsletter in the next couple of weeks. The poets involved in SIM will select the best, the most promising of the submissions, and those young makers will be offered the opportunity for further mentoring, one-to-one online mentoring with our lead tutor, Jen Hadfield, and they'll be invited to read their work at the StAnza Poetry Festival in St Andrews next March. But that's all quite a long way off yet, and I don't want to use up any more of your time. I'd like to introduce Clare Shaw, your poet and tutor for this webinar. Clare was born in Lancashire and now lives in West Yorkshire in a very beautiful part of the world. They have 4 poetry collections published with Blood Axe, including Flood and the most recent, Towards a General Theory of Love, and they have won several awards. Clare is co-director of Kendal Poetry Festival and a very experienced poetry tutor. They love helping other people to develop their writing, and they're passionate about widening access to poetry and about its capacity to enrich our lives and improve our well-being. They reckon that with the right support, everyone can write poetry, and we certainly wouldn't disagree with that. You'll certainly be getting the right support today. I'm looking forward enormously to this webinar, all about writing from our senses, and I know you're going to enjoy working with Clare. Now, more than enough from me, and I'm going to hand you over to Clare and Using the Senses.
Oh, thank you, Catherine. What a lovely, lovely introduction. And I really enjoyed that little glitch. I felt like I'd just been on a series of like Doctor Who. I felt like I'd been caught in some sort of time warp, and Catherine from the future was communicating with us, and Catherine from the past was speaking to us, and some other version of myself got cloned somewhere along the way. So if you're watching this back on YouTube, I'm really sorry that you missed that. And maybe if you come to the live event next time, Catherine can arrange another really interesting glitch for you. After all that lovely introductory spiel, there's not much to add from me, except maybe to tell you a little bit about what we're going to be doing today. What do I do? What's important to me? I think you've already heard it. I write because I really, really like it. And I'm really interested. Interested isn't the word. I really care a lot about poetry's capacity to, I think the word that I normally used was enrich our lives, but really just to make us feel better about ourselves and better about each other and better about the world around us, and to feel more kind of connected to that world and each other. That's the stuff that really gets me excited, and I'm really excited about poetry's capacity to describe some of the stuff that we might find it particularly hard to describe more straightforwardly in like prose or conversation. Maybe that's why you're here today, because you've got some stuff to say that's hard to say any other way, or maybe you just like writing because it makes you feel happy. Hopefully, in the next hour and a half, what we're going to do is, well, like Catherine said, you're going to be producing stuff that you might want to end up performing at StAnza next year. And you're also going to be writing just because it's fun. And you're going to do some stuff in the next hour and a half as well that will help you in future future workshops. So it's about kind of laying some of the ground that can help you to take your writing to the next level. I work in a fairly informal way, so I'm not going to work you too hard. You can work as hard as you like. I suggest exercises that I find helpful. That's why I'm suggesting them. But if they don't work for you, do something else that works for you. You know, if I suggest a kind of approach to writing that you think, oh, I don't like the sound of that, do it in the way that you like it. And if you try something out and it doesn't work, don't worry. That's a really big part of writing, is trying stuff out. And figuring out stuff that works and stuff that doesn't work. And not everything, not anything can work 100% of the time. So we're going to be doing a little bit of group writing, and you're going to be doing quite a lot of writing on your own as well. We're going to start with group writing. And when I say group writing, it's pretty much what it sounds like. So those of you that have got access to the keyboard, you're going to be typing straight onto the keyboard into chat if you can. If some of you, particularly those of you joining from school, are sharing a keyboard, then you're going to nominate somebody who can type really fast, who's going to type in some of your examples into chat. Because just to get us warmed up, I'm going to ask you, first of all, to type into chat your favourite sound, and I want everybody to come up with at least 3 examples, your 3 favourite sounds. Ha! I know what I'm going for straight away. We'll abandon that group exercise and we'll work individually. So what I want you to do on your own piece of paper is I want you to write 3 examples of your favourite sounds. I'm going to write mine here. I'm going to go back to, when you've done that, when you've got at least 3 favourite sounds, and every time if you find that you've written down 3 and you've got some time left, go for 4, go for 5. But what we're going to go now with is at least 3 favourite smells. So again, we're abandoning the group exercise and you're just writing that down on your own piece of paper or screen or however you prefer to work. 3 favourite smells, and try to make it as specific as you can. So not just, fresh bread, but fresh bread out of the oven, cooked by my dad on the first day of summer holidays, for example. The more specific, the better.
Sorry to interrupt, Claire, but we should have chat on now. Thank you. I hope that is the case.
Chat's back. Brilliant. if you want to, yeah, we're going to move into chat. If you're prepared to switch over, apologies for that, people. But if we treat this all as an exercise in warming up, switch back onto chat, and I would like you to write down at least 3 examples of your favourite smells. Favourite smells. And then after you've done that, I bet you're getting in the way of this now. So make sure you've got at least 1 or 2 examples written down. I'm sorry we've had to do a bit of swapping around, but if you can join in with our group piece, I would be delighted. Because once you've written down, let's see everybody getting at least 1 written down in group chat, I'm going to get you to move on to at least 3 favourite tastes and make it specific. Not just ice cream, but pistachio ice cream on a burning summer's day in Barcelona with my friend. That level of specific. Not just baked potato, but baked potato on a winter's day when I've just come in from the snow. At least 3 favourite tastes into group chat, please. Some beautiful stuff coming in, thank you. Let's see if you can get another favourite taste down. Oh, I know one. And when you've done that, don't worry if you're all out of order. That's fine. It's nice to have them all mixed up. If you're ready to move on, then it's going to be sight next. Try and go for at least 3 of your favourite sights. And it might be things you've only seen once. It might be things that you see every day. You're absolute heroes. Keep going. Let's get another of your favourite sights. So like I say, it might be something that you see every day. It might be something that you've only ever seen once. It might be something you only glimpsed on the television or in books. There's some gorgeous, gorgeous examples coming in already. They're like tiny poems in themselves. And I'm getting you to write quite quickly because it's just a way of, sometimes if we write really fast and we don't worry about things like spelling and grammar and punctuation and all of that nonsense, sorry Dumfries Academy, and if we don't worry about whether we're using alliteration or metaphors or, I don't know, fronted adverbials or any of that stuff, if we just write what comes into our minds, it can be really astonishing, the little nuggets that come out. It's like writing faster than or despite those little rules in your head that sometimes can get in the way. 3 favourite feelings now. 3 favourite feelings, and that might be physical feelings. It might be something that you touch, like that really soft bit between a rabbit's ears. It might be a physical sensation, like the feel of getting into bed when you're really tired. Or it might be a feeling within your own body that's more of an emotional feeling, like the feeling of getting home when you've been homesick. Yeah, let's get 3 in. I'm going to leave it with you because I've seen the quality of what you're writing and it's pretty cracking. I'm going to start reading these out. If you're still writing, please carry on writing. If hearing other people's examples inspires new ideas, just write them down. Then we're going to go one step further with what we've written. My daughter's warm skin, cinnamon, frankincense on a winter's night, apple pie, chocolate chip cookies baking, wood smoke on clothing and hair, the smell of cold air in the forest in autumn. Freshly mown grass on a cold summer's day, fresh mint tea in Granada, the first crisp breath of Caledonian air when you step off the plane at the end of the summer, beans and baked spud, the taste of comfort and home, warm chocolate chip cookies and milk in my favourite chair with my writing book and drawing materials, the smell of a coal fire, baking, of clean, dried in the fresh air laundry, the taste of a cinnamon roll baked by my mum at Christmas, raspberries, the pure taste of summer, roasted beetroots, the sound of a whale call, the sound of silence filling the air I breathe, the sound of love, heart beating in time to our theme tune, the sickly sweet marshmallows at sale in Tesco's, the little brown birds in the hedge outside my window, the sea when I walk to the beach near our house on the Moray Firth on a warm summer day, the sight of the sun setting over the fields, the way my daughter looks very young when they are excited, the first sight of the mountains and how it makes me smile, the fog-covered forest in late autumn, the sunlit sky chasing the moon afternoon away, my first cup of coffee of the day with cream oaty foam, sitting in my favourite place, a giant old tree with winding branches, my dog when I get home after a difficult day, an empty beach, the sunset, the glittering lights of a town across a vast lake, a sunset over the sea, the mountains above Loch Marie, heading to the west coast, curtains being lifted in a theatre, yellow along the edge of the bank of the birch tree in the woods, warmth as the fire grows stronger, the last tram of the city at night, turning the corner just before my stop, the skin of the ear of my new great-grandson, hope, getting into a warm bath on a cold day, a relative's baby smiling when they see me, my bed after a couple of hours exercise, a strong, safe, warm hug from someone with big shoulders, finally handing in an overdue essay, someone you love giving you a hug when you're excited, the cold water when I first get in the sea on Sunday mornings, waking on the first day of holidays with everything good in front of you, creating something you're proud of, happiness when you realise your favourite chocolate bar hasn't been eaten yet, putting on warm socks while snow is falling outside, the sea after being landlocked for too long. Wow, as a warm-up exercise, you set the house on fire. That was amazing. That was extraordinary. If we were going to dream up a title for what we've just written there, what would it be? Sometime, exactly. Wow. Would that be the title? It could be favour. It could be favourites. It could be I love you like. It could be you are, she is, he is. In fact, have a look maybe at what you've just written, and you might want to carry on writing your own list now on your own piece of paper and see if you can think of a fitting title or maybe a repeated phrase to use at the start of every line. Sometimes I feel like love is. That's beautiful, Dumfries Academy. Love is the feel of cold water when I get in the sea on Sunday mornings. Love is putting on warm socks while snow is falling outside. Somebody else just come up with one there. What I love, an abridged version. Has anybody come across Cy Shonigan? I think Reese has, because I think I've used Cy with you before. Shonigan, it's spelled something like that. Cy Shonigan was a fantastic writer writing about 1,100 years ago in Japan, and she wrote some I've written Cy wrong. It looks like this. Oh no, it looks the other way, like that. She wrote lots of lists, so she might write a list like what I love or what makes me feel happy, and then you get this beautiful perfect list that just gives you such a gorgeous glimpse into life all those years ago. I'm going to show you a poem that we might use as a leaping off point for another exercise. We'll come back to Denise in a minute. Can you see Litany by Billy Collins? Catherine, I can only see your face at the moment. Can you give me a nod if you can see Litany by Billy Collins? Brilliant. Lindsay, you've got your hand raised. Do you want to jump in and speak? Or type into chat? But Litany by Billy Collins goes like this. You are the bread and the knife, the crystal goblet and the wine. You are the bread and the knife, the crystal goblet and the wine. You are the dew on the morning grass and the burning wheel of the sun. You are the white apron of the baker and the marsh birds suddenly in flight. However, you are not the wind in the orchard, the plums on the counter, or the house of cards. And you are certainly not the pine-scented air. There is just no way that you are the pine-scented air. It is possible that you are the fish under the bridge, or maybe even the pigeon on the general's head, but you are not even close to being the field of cornflowers at dusk. And a quick look in the mirror will show that you are neither the boots in the corner nor the boat asleep in its boathouse. Might interest you to know, speaking of the plentiful imagery of the world, that I am the sound of rain on the roof. I also happen to be the shooting star, the evening paper blowing down an alley, and the basket of chestnuts on the kitchen table. I am also the moon in the trees, and the blind woman's teacup. But don't worry, I'm not the bread and the knife. You are still the bread and the knife. You will always be the bread and the knife, and not to mention the crystal goblet and, somehow, the wine. I love that poem. I remember the first time I saw that poem. It did that thing, that lovely thing that poetry does sometimes when you go, oh my God, I didn't know you could do that. It kind of introduced me to a whole new way of writing. If you're reading that poem and thinking, I don't like it, or I don't get it, or what on earth is he going on about, you're the fish under the bridge or the pigeon on the general's head, it doesn't make sense. Your opinion is just as valid. We do not have to like every poem that we read, just the same way that we don't like every telly programme that is on the telly or every song that is on the radio. Some of them speak to us, others don't speak to us at all. That's fine. We sometimes have this really funny thing with poetry, don't they? If we read a poem that we don't like, we either think we don't like poetry. Imagine if we did that with music. Or we think somehow we're stupid because we didn't like a poem. It's completely fine not to like a poem or not to understand a poem. Now let's have a look at chat. Yes, I'll put that in again. The Japanese poet. I can't promise that this is exactly the right spelling, but it's something a bit like this. Cy Shonigan, and she wrote a book called The Pillow Book. It's become a famous film, but the famous film isn't really about the book that Cy Shonigan wrote. The Pillow Book itself is worth looking at. Kathleen is loving wonderful Billy Collins. I like wonderful Billy Collins too. And we're going to use the way that he's written there as a leaping off point for our own individual piece of writing. You have all generated the most wonderful raw material with your list of favourite tastes and sounds and sights and feelings and smells. You might also want to write down some things that you don't like at all. But work with the 5 senses. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. You might work with the examples that you already wrote down in chat. You might want to steal some other people's. I hereby give you permission to do that. As poets, we're kind of like word magpies. We can pick up shiny things wherever we want. Apart from plagiarism, we mustn't do that. But you can steal from other people. You can be inspired by other people. You can write in homage to other people. What I'm going to give you, starting now, so we're going to write till 1641, is using those examples and cutting out. In fact, I'll give you an extra minute so that I can just explain one thing that I did when I was reading out your pieces. You'll have noticed that I stopped saying things like the feeling of, or the sight of, or the sound of, or the taste of. Because if you're telling us about ice cream, we know it's the taste. You know, if you're telling us about music, we know it's the sound. You can lose those words already. So I don't want, you are the feeling of getting into a warm bath on a cold day. I want you are. Oh no, that doesn't work. You are the last tram out of the city at night, turning the corner just before my stop, for example. But you are not the skin of the ear of my new great-grandson. You are definitely the feeling of a relative's baby smiling when they see me. Go for it. So you can write into chat if you want so that we can see it, or you can write on your own piece of paper. It's up to you, whatever feels most comfortable. I'm going to write on my own piece of paper. I'm just going to give us all one more minute to finish off what you're doing. Cool. That sent me in a direction I wasn't expecting. That's the thing about writing exercises, isn't it? They sometimes they knock you over. I ended up writing about two people I don't even know, and now I feel like I did know them. I guess everything that we write is a part of ourselves. So maybe even when we're making things up, they're speaking something very true about ourselves. I ended up writing. I started off by stealing your work, and then it made me feel like it was all right to make up my own. I got, he was the lights of a town across a vast lake, but she was the sight of a sunset over the sea. And they were the birch tree in the woods. And there something was baked spuds in November, eaten by night. Then the fire was their dreams, and their children were a sky full of stars in Yorkshire, and their house was hope. And each day was an orchestra tuning up, and at night they were wood smoke. And as they grew older, they were the first sight of the mountains in Cumbria. And when he left, it was not little brown birds in the hedge, it was winter, and she was a leafless tree. Is somebody else prepared to read theirs out or share it into chat? I'd love to see somebody else's piece. Oh, Sally, thank you. I liked writing that. It's funny, isn't it, when we work with imagery, it's almost a bit like working with, I'm not a sculptor, but I imagine it's a bit like working with wood or stone. It kind of guides us where it wants to go. Is there anybody else who wants to share their piece, or are you just all about the writing? You're being shy. You've all shared pieces anyway in the group piece. We've heard from all of you. Oh, we've got somebody. Oh, and we've got Sally. You are not the feeling of my dog's ears, but of a well-worn-in shirt. Cheese. Yes, that's got punch. Kathleen, are you going to join in with your voice? Or are you going to share your stuff on chat? It's up to you. Oh, wow, and we've got Reese showing his stuff. Kathleen, let us know. Oh, voice. Right, let's hear from Kathleen, and then I'm going to read Reese's out unless he wants to read his own out. Can we have Kathleen joining us, Catherine? And then Reese will come after.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Hi. You are the sun and the moon and the stars. You are my favorite cup. You are the water running through my fingers, all fine and smooth and soft. But you are surely and most assuredly not the rowan tree drawing I did last summer, or the Pleiades I can see from my skylight. Yes, and I can assure you, you are not the writing on the wall or the clay I used to mold that pot. But even I have to admit, you are the moon, the sun, the moon, and the stars, and the blinking stars on a dark winter's night. And oh, yes, the Orion Nebula as seen from the JWST telescope. You are my favorite cup and the fine, smooth water of the sea.
Oh my God, who killed it then? Kathleen. Fist bump, high five, everything. That was extraordinary. That felt like that was a poem that had existed for ages. Thank you. Reese, let's hear from you next.
Okay. Um, so I've titled this Byproducts of the Utopian Experiment. You are the triple zone Tyne-and-Wear metro tickets littering my desk that I sometimes pick when in urgent need of a bookmark. You are the 21-pound round trips in which I somehow leave the country and don't regain my bed till Tuesday morning. You are the Build-A-Bear with plastic fairy wings and candy-colored fur that watches over my single bed at night. You are not my phone on 4% battery. It just so happens that it often seems that way. Neither are you the wrong bus at 2 a.m. You are the map of the world on my wardrobe, forever stuck in 23, to remind me that there was once a world worth living for, and that one day there might well be one again.
Oh, oh God, that's taken my breath away. That was stunning. Thank you so much. Wow, that was so rich. Wow. I want to be somebody's map of the world and somebody's Build-A-Bear with plastic fairy wings. Thank you so much. Extraordinary. I don't know how you guys write this stuff. I do know how you write it. You just put your pen on the paper and write. That's what we do, isn't it? We just put our pens on the papers and we write. And we've got Dumfries Academy joining in. Dumfries Academy, do you want to read your piece out or do you want me to read it out for you? You are a new guitar being played for the very first time. You're a vinyl player scratching against a record as it plays. You are the sun setting for what feels like the very first time. And if nothing else, you are my favourite. Oh, beautiful, stunning, stunning. So Ruth Ozeki's My Year of Meat references the Pillow Book. We've got Sally. Sally, do you want to read yours out or have it read out? It's up to you. I'll start reading it out, Sally, unless you tell me otherwise. You are the sound of laughter and a storm throwing itself at my window, but you are not birdsong. You are the smell of cold autumn air and chocolate and strawberries. You are definitely not an ancient tree with knotted branches and dark green leaves, but you are the sight of the sea after I have been landlocked for too long. Beautiful. God, these perfectly crafted pieces just popping out left, right and centre now. Stop it. Don't make it look so easy. That's stunning. Stunning pieces. And those are pieces that you can continue to play with, aren't they? Kathleen's loving that. We're feeling the love. And try playing with sensors as well. Tenses, I mean. So it might be you will be, you were not, perhaps once you were. We can play with that too. And you might find as well that it just leads you into a different direction that you want to explore in more detail. Maybe it starts up a refrain or a story. When we write in this way, when we just give ourselves permission, put the pen on the paper or the fingers on the keyboard and type, you can kind of give up a little bit of control and hand it over to the words. If that doesn't sound too strange, let the words guide you. They kind of know where they're going. Let's have a look at another poem. Not that you need to refer to other poems. You've got it all going on here. Oh, taste and see. This is a really old poem. This is from a book called O Taste and See by Denise Levertov, and I think it's from like the mid-60s, so it's been knocking around for a long, long time, and I never, ever, ever get tired of this poem. Let's have a listen and see what you think. Again, just because I like it doesn't mean that you're going to. The world is not with us enough. Oh, taste and see, the subway Bible poster said, meaning the Lord, meaning, if anything, all that lives to the imagination's tongue, grief, mercy, language, tangerine, weather, to breathe them, bite, savour, chew, swallow, transform into our flesh, our deaths, crossing the street, plum, quince, living in the orchard, and being hungry, and plucking the fruit. There's a little missing comma after plum, sorry, my fault. The world is not with us enough. Oh, taste and see, the subway Bible poster said, meaning the Lord, meaning, if anything, all that lives to the imagination's tongue, grief, mercy, language, tangerine, weather, to breathe them, bite, savour, chew, swallow, transform into our flesh, our deaths, crossing the street, plum, quince, living in the orchard, and being hungry and plucking the fruit. It's just a little tiny poem, but it's so rich. Let's see, somebody's responded. Oh, we've got another one. We're going to have another poem, and we're going to think about Beth's poem, hand in hand with Denise Levertov. You are the sound of love, heart beating in time to our theme tune I wrote. You are the sunlit sky chasing the moon away. You are not lights dancing in their reflection hours after darkness. You are not the feeling of warmth as the fire grows stronger. You are not and will never be the feeling of happiness when you realise your favourite chocolate bar hasn't been eaten yet. God, Beth, there's all sorts of layers in that. Not only is that evocative, but it's also really rich and complex. Thank you so much for that. It's like 95% chocolate, that was. You know, really rich. It's going to linger with me. Any responses to Denise Levertov and what she might be saying to us in that poem? It feels like she's advocating what you guys just did. She's a bit behind us. She's bringing up the rears, Denise, with this poem. You know, she's talking about experiencing the world through our senses. That the world isn't with us enough. Let's taste and see, and let's not just taste the tasty things like chocolate, but let's taste the things that we might not normally think of tasting, like crossing the street, like grief, like not just tangerine, but also weather. Can we taste them too? Can we see them too? Can we be hungry for all of those things? Kind of gorge ourselves on them, breathe them, bite them, savour them, chew them, swallow them. Can we take them into our bodies? Just a little quick digression. How do you know that you're sad? Like, seriously, it's a question. How do you, and I'm looking at you, how do you know that you're sad? Where do you feel it? What alerts you to the fact that you're sad? I feel it almost as soon as I think about it. I feel it, what's that bit called here? In between your, like your heart and your tummy, like your diaphragm. Yeah, in my stomach, Sally says, I feel it like at the bottom of my chest and at the top of my stomach. Sternum, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just, yeah, What about happy? Where do you feel happy? How do you know that you're happy? If you can conjure that feeling up now, where is it in your body? For me, it's more in my throat. Ha! Beth as well. Throat. Happiness in my throat. I'm going to keep a note of that because I might use it in a minute. Sadness in my sternum. What about anger? Oh, I know where I feel that. That's in my belly. In your sinuses, Reese. B feels it in her jaw. What about I'm just doing this because I'm really interested now. What about hope? I feel it in my hope, in my forehead. You feel it in your fist. Oh, Reese, are you still on anger? And Sally, feeling anger in fists. Hope, where do you feel hope? Hope in your heart, throat. Really interests me. Just thinking about how we know the world and thinking back to that poem. Oh, sadness to us is feeling empty and angry. Whereas happy, we feel full and supported. When angry, we feel it in our whole body, our jaw, our heads, our fists, and our heart. I love that. And I'm going back to Denise Levertov here. I'm going, I think she was medically correct as well, that we do feel grief and mercy and death and crossing the street in our body. The only way that we know what emotions we're feeling and that we're able to translate those emotions into words is because of the physical sensation of emotion. Even emotion happens at a sensory level. And that's why our writing absolutely depends on our use of the senses. I'm just going to show you a really interesting piece of research. Interesting to me, anyway, that I found. Which is, sorry, I'm just going straight onto the website. I've just looked this up randomly. You can access through lots of different sites. You don't have to use this one. But a really large-scale piece of research was carried out with thousands and thousands of people across all sorts of different countries and all sorts of different cultures, asking people where they felt different emotions, and it came back with very, very similar findings, regardless of who was being asked and in what country they lived. So people tended to feel anger in their chests and heads, shoulders, and fists, like we did. Happiness, if you look, that's very much in the head and the heart, but a kind of glow around the body. Depression seems to be a lot of a kind of empty feeling. Love, a whole body glow. And it brought up the possibility, I think it says it here, I won't scan through the whole piece, but it's basically that maybe there's a kind of universal element to how we experience emotions that exists all the way around the world. It doesn't just depend on what country you live in and kind of social norms. Shame looks like Spider-Man. That sounds like the title of your next collection, Sally. I think that's a fantastic title to write to. Shame looks like Spider-Man. Love looks like. Fear looks like. But just a little real life research reminder that when we're writing creatively, when we're writing poetry, we have to refer to our senses. That's the only way that we know anything. And that's what you've been doing all the way through this piece. bringing your writing alive in your senses. We're going to do it in a different way now. I think a lot of us had a really great reaction to Billy Collins, and I was really interested in what Billy Collins said about his own piece. He said, I wondered, sorry if I'm doing your heads in spanning through the writing, I wondered, well, who's this Jacques Chrétien that he's quoting? Did you like my Yorkshire French accent? You are the bread and the knife, the crystal goblet and the wine. I thought this must be a really famous writer who's done a brilliant poem that he's responding to. And I did a lot of looking around to see if I could find this brilliant piece. And what I found instead was this. Billy Collins said, I take the first 2 lines of someone else's poem and I rewrite it for them. This is done out of courtesy. When you see a poem that seems to fail, you can just rewrite it and improve on it that way. So he's taken the first 2 lines of a poem that he didn't like very much, but he clearly liked the first 2 lines and he's just improved on it. And that's a tactic that we might use in a few minutes. But I was really interested to realise that that was something that Denise Levertov had also done with her fantastic poem, O Taste and See, which is a response to a Bible poster. But she starts with the line, the world is not with us enough. Do you know what that's a response to? Does anyone want to jump in if they know what poem she's responding to there? I'm giving you time to write. Oh, we've got someone jumping in. The world is too much with us. Wordsworth. Exactly. You win the prize, Reese. The prize is a Fray Bentos pie in a tin. I'm going to send it to you. The world is too much with us. We're not going to spend ages with this poem because I don't really like it. The world is too much with us by William Wordsworth starts with the lines, world is too much with us, late and soon, getting and spending. We lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours. We have given our hearts away, a sordid boon. I'm not going to carry on because Wordsworth, particularly in this poem, I like other poems by Wordsworth, but I don't much like this one. It's a poem that's very much of its time, and it's the kind of poetry that sometimes people assume we should be writing 200 years on. But we speak very differently now, and we have very different ideas about the world creatively and politically. And I'm much more drawn to language like this. We're going to finish with this poem by Mary Oliver. Luke. I had a dog who loved flowers. Sorry, I love that. After speeding through a William Wordsworth, he goes, so might I, standing on this pleasant lea, have glimpses that would make me less forlorn, have sight of Proteus rising from the sea, or hear old Triton blow these wreathed horn. I love that we are now free to write. I had a dog who loved flowers. That is every bit as poetic, and if not more so, because it means something to me. It's spoken in a language that I understand. Briskly she went through the fields, yet paused for the honeysuckle or the rose, her dark head and her wet nose touching the face of every one with its petals of silk, with its fragrance rising into the air, where the bees, their bodies heavy with pollen, hovered, and easily she adored every blossom, not in this serious, careful way that we choose this blossom or that blossom, the way we praise or don't praise, the way we love or don't love, but the way we long to be, that happy in the heaven of earth, that wild, that loving. I'm just going to read through that again. See if we can get it all up on one page. Don't think we can. If I get rid of the title, we can. I had a dog who loved flowers. Briskly she went through the fields, yet paused for the honeysuckle or the rose, her dark head and her wet nose touching the face of every one with its petals of silk, with its fragrance rising into the air, where the bees, their bodies heavy with pollen, hovered. And easily she adored every blossom, not in this serious, careful way that we choose this blossom or that blossom, the way we praise or don't praise, the way we love or don't love, but the way we long to be. That happy in the heaven of earth, that wild, that loving. Any responses to that poem? I just love the way Mary Oliver writes about dogs. Love it. There's just a general Mary Oliver dog poem love fest going on. Mary Oliver's Dog Songs is one of my favourite poetry books of all time. It reminds me of my dog. Yeah, it reminds me of most dogs, Beth. I wonder if you love what she's saying in that poem as well. What is she saying about humans? She's telling us about the dog. And what is she telling us about ourselves? It's such a lovely message. What is the message to you, Sally, of that poem? To me, it's something about how we can learn a lot from animals. It's something of what Wordsworth was doing in a brilliant way for his time, which was a long time ago, telling us stop worrying about stuff and just get with nature. That's what William Wordsworth was saying. I guess Mary Oliver is saying dogs do this quite naturally, without any effort. Be more dog. Yes, Sally says. Be more like dogs. Love more easily. Be more dog. I love that. And do you know what? I'm going to adapt our next exercise to summarise what Sally and Lindsay have just said so powerfully there. I want you to choose an animal. I think one of the reasons that Mary Oliver keeps coming back to dogs is because Mary Oliver loves writing about being in the moment. She's very, what you would call, mindful. She likes being in the present moment, and she really loves nature, and she really rejoices in how beautiful simple things can be. And dogs are excellent at that stuff. So I think that's why she loves dogs so much and writes about them. I want you to choose an animal, and we're going to use your animal in the way that Mary Oliver did, as a kind of shortcut into teaching us a way of being with our senses. So we're talking a lot about how we use our sight, our hearing, our taste, our smell, how vital that is to live in poetry, how vital it is to writing in a way that makes us feel alive as the writers, let alone the readers. So I want you to choose an animal. Could be anything. If you love penguins, go for penguins. And we're going to be inspired by what Lindsay and Sally just did there. So you might write a poem called Be More Penguin. Just making this up on the spot now. Be more penguin. And I want you, like Mary Oliver did, to describe how your penguin walks through a field of snow, for example. Or how you're, in your Be More Spider, how your spider, hides in the corner of the room and scuttles out to do spidery things. And I want you to write about the world using all of your senses as that animal, because animals are ace at senses. And we're going to take What should we take? We'll take a 5 minutes to do that. So remember to write about the world from that animal's point of view. Don't tell me don't worry because penguins don't worry. Show me that penguin not worrying, just experiencing the world in the moment, in its own terms, through its senses. I liked that. I like writing in animals' bodies. There's something about it that feels like a nice balance of kind of funny, but you can also write some really serious stuff. I think that's my favourite kind of writing. That's the funny and serious at the same time. I felt that having gone on about penguins, I had to write about penguins, even though I know very little about them. So it really pushed my imagination to imagine being in a -60 storm. Keep your eggs very close. Feel the world at its sharpest. The sea is warmer than air, and you can fly there. You can glide towards your next meal. There is warmth in a flock of bodies. There is survival. Walking 100 miles through a storm is one step after another, and the sun will always return, though you may not see it. Thousands will. Who else is going to share theirs? Did anybody else do penguins? Oh, B did duck. Yes. Are you going to read it out? Do you want me to read it out? I love the different forms that these are taking as well. B, I really love the kind of bringing together of some of those words. I think it looks very duck-like. That's something that we can work with if we had more time. We really would. We'd work with how our writing becomes animal-like in shape and in our use of white space. That stuff's great. And in our use of sound and echo. Be more duck. Waddle through life, not giving a quack what anyone thinks. Be more duck. Swim through trouble, thinking only of joy. Be more duck. Parading through the streets, not afraid to ruffle your feathers. Be more duck. Yes. We need a t-shirt. Thinking of the merch now. StAnza, we need t-shirts. Be more duck, be more penguin, be more cat. Be a bat who loves the dark, who sees with sound, who takes it moment by moment, squeak by squeak. Be graceful when no one can see. Soar through the night and dance in the sky. Dance with the treetops at your feet. Be a bat if you want to be. Yes! Be more cat. Are we going to hear this? Are we going to hear Be More Cat?
We could hear it. It's very short compared with everybody else's wonders. I'm not sure about this. Anyway, here it is. Be more cat. Take your time to stretch long and lazy. Taste the air and yawn. Yawn wide until your jaws crack. Sleep deep and easy without a care. Enjoy the praise and the cuddles. You're worth it. You're beautiful.
Oh my God. Oh, I kind of want to hear that over and over again. It's really, it kind of sounds gentle and again quite funny, but it has such a serious message, doesn't it? Why shouldn't we believe we're beautiful and we're worth it, just like cats believe? Just the same as Sally's bats are able to embrace the dark and find their way through, and ducks are proud to parade and ruffle their feathers. Thank you so much. We're going to see if we can squeeze in one last exercise in our last 3 minutes. I might be sending you away with an idea for further writing here, because we've come up with this idea of the rebuttal, haven't we? Of arguing with or improving on a previous poem. And I was just recently thinking about a Mary Oliver poem. I used to run a reading group in a mental health unit for young people, and I took them this poem, which I really love, by Mary Oliver. I think I'm going to be leaving you with this as a writing exercise for all the pieces that you're going to be performing at StAnza in March that I'm going to come and see. Oh, have we got another one? We've got Queen Mary? Be more Queen Mary? Yeah, be more Queen Mary, everybody. She really is quite special. But I kind of thought, having raved about her dog songs, and this is a poem that many people really love and value. I took it to the mental health unit, as I said, and the young people I was working with there, they really hated it, and I thought they were going to love it. And then I realised why they hated it, and I think it was one particular line. So I'm going to hand it to you and see if you want to write in agreement or in disagreement with the poem. You do not have to be good. I have to tell you, I write in complete agreement with the poem. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees through 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Wow, yeah, it's to me a profoundly comforting poem, and so I was quite surprised when I heard people disagree with it, and then I realised that's a potential with every poem. We don't all have to like them, we don't all have to agree with them, we don't have to read them in the same way. So in this very final exercise that I'm going to leave you with, well, we could see what we write in 2 minutes, couldn't we? We're pretty amazing at fast writing. I'm going to invite you to do one of two things. You're going to either write in response to the first 2 lines, or maybe the first line of Wild Geese. Okay, so you're either going to write in response to that. You do not have to be good. You might write in argument, or you might write in agreement. Or you're going to write in response to this line. And this is the line that I thought of when we did the dog poem and the penguin poem and the bat and the cat. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. And I thought about that line because I think, like I said, I think Mary Oliver uses dogs as a way of allowing us as humans to engage with the world through our senses. But actually we can do it for ourselves. And that's where we started the session. We let the soft animals of our bodies love what they love. We thought about what we like to taste and smell and see and hear and feel. So I'm going to invite you to write either in response to or in argument to one of those 2 lines. And you might want to just jot down that idea, jot down your first responses, sometimes those first feelings and those first words and the most important words. And then when we've left you at 5:30, you can either go for your tea or you can carry on writing. It's up to you. I'm just going to take 1 minute to write down my first thoughts. I think, as much because it makes me happy as anything else, I'm just going to carry on writing about what the soft animal of my body really loves, but I'm going to engage with my body as if it were an animal, so I can get really stuck into the world in that very sensory way that animals are so good at. And I'm going to do that by the end of the night, because it will help me sleep. I don't get to submit my poem to StAnza, but you guys do. Okay, we are now at 15:28, so I'm going to take that down. And unless we've got any last thoughts or last sharings, I shall be handing back to Catherine. We've made it through without any other major glitches, Catherine. Catherine really wished that the world agreed with you do not have to.
I think that was, yes, I think there were more than enough glitches to last the entire 10 poetry workshops, quite honestly. That was a nightmare of the glitches as far as that was concerned.
We did all right, didn't we?
We did all right. Well, everybody here did all right. And I finally relaxed enough to actually write something. So that's, there we are. But anyway, listen, thank you so much, Clare. That's been absolutely marvelous. It's been fascinating. It's been wonderful. It's been such a privilege, quite honestly, to be here. And the talent, the range of talent that we've got here is phenomenal.
I think no wonder no matter how many glitches we faced, I think as soon as we started to see those words pouring through on chat, we knew we were on we were on safe ground, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you said something like the quality of what you're writing is pretty cracking right at the start, and then it just seemed to get better and better. So wonderful stuff. Thank you to all of you for coming, for being so ready to get involved, for being so patient with an absolute outed newbie as far as live recording or live streaming to YouTube is concerned. I will manage it next time. I am certain of it. I'm not doing that again. So yeah, thanks once again. I just wanted to say, I think, well, there were all kinds of things I wanted to say, but we're going to run out of time now. There are just so many wonderful lines there that will stick with me for ages. And thank you, Clare, for introducing us to Mary Oliver as well, who is a wonderful poet. But I wanted to just say a couple of quick words about next week's webinar, which is next Wednesday, October the 19th at 4 p.m, of course, and your poet will be Cliff Yates. And he'll be leading a session on playing around with form. So you'll get the email newsletter with the Zoom invitation in the usual way on Monday, and a reminder on Wednesday. And I hope that as many of you as possible will all be able to make it again, if only to see what wonders I can manage with the next one. But hopefully you won't get that laugh again. Okay. I'm going to end the session now, unless there's anything anyone desperately wants to ask or say.
I think it's great timing to have a session on form, because then you can take your sensory animal pieces and make them the right form for a sensory animal piece.
That sounds an excellent idea. An excellent idea. So we're going to end now, I think. I'll stop the recording and say goodbye to all of you. Thank you so much for coming, and see you again next week, I hope. Bye.